Hey guys, it's Alex from Stay Frosty Cinema, and today I'm going to talk about my most anticipated game, and that is Guild Wars 2. I have been following its development since it was announced about 4 years ago, so the game's been in development for a long time, and it still will be. They've only just announced that you will be able to pre-order or pre-purchase the game on April 10th, but we still don't know when the game will actually release. But I'm going to tell you why I'm excited for this game, and what's going to be so good about it, and why you should be excited too. First things first, let's take a quote by the developers, and that is, "If you like MMOs, you should check out Guild Wars 2. If you hate MMOs, you should really check out Guild Wars 2. So why might this be? What does Guild Wars 2 do differently to appeal to a wider audience? First of all, the game will have no monthly fee. You buy the game once, or twice if you want to give someone the best gift ever, and then play to your heart's content. And of course you can buy extra items to customize your character through microtransactions if you would like. Next up is the combat, the fun stuff, or in other MMOs, the grind. Running up to an enemy and casting your skills in a pattern like a well-oiled machine. It's so easy a 5-year-old can do it, but it's painful to try and watch anyone master your build as well as you do. The usual, I don't care about what's happening on screen, I just have my eyes fixed on when my skills recharge and how much mana I have. Well, no. Guild Wars 2 strives to be everything but that. The game will have active combat. Every profession has a combat roll or some sort of manual dodge that can be used to dodge out of the way of powerful attacks. Not only will you be watching out for when to dodge, but a lot of skills are aimed sort of ground-based attacks, and you will have to concentrate on where to use these. Active combat also involves the way you work together with your party or teammates, and I'm not talking about healing. I'll talk about that in a second. I'm talking about when an elementalist summons a firewall in front of an opponent, and now if you're a ranger, if you shoot your arrows through the firewall, they will turn into flaming arrows and do more damage. The combat in Guild Wars 2 will have you on the edge of your seat instead of falling asleep. Okay, now I'm going to talk about the professions and the races. Guild Wars 2 has 5 playable races: the humans, the Char, the Azura, the Sylvari, and the Norn. Each one of these races can play any of the 8 professions. Okay, now you're thinking, if there's anything that's ever been a part of every MMO, it's the Holy Trinity. If you weren't thinking that, now you're thinking, what is the Holy Trinity? Well, it's how well your class can be either a healer, a tank, or a DPS, how much damage you can do. Well, first of all, in Guild Wars 2, there is no healer class. Let me list them out: Elementalist, Warrior, Ranger, Necromancer, Guardian, Thief, Engineer, and Mesmer. Every one of these professions has a slot in the skill bar dedicated to being a self-heal, and each of these professions is extremely unique from one another. The developers said instead of thinking tank, DPS, healer, for Guild Wars 2, you should be thinking damage, support, and control. But why is it so important to not have a healing class in Guild Wars 2? Because if you've ever played an MMO with a healing class, even the original Guild Wars, you know that unless you've played that healing class, you have probably waited around for someone to show up with a healing class before you actually got into battle. So in Guild Wars 2, there is no waiting around spamming group looking for healer into the global chat before heading out into the wilderness and doing some quests. Well, this is especially important in Guild Wars 2 because quests can just happen right in front of you. In fact, they don't call them quests, they call them dynamic events. Events that happen in the game world and have different outcomes whether you win or lose. And these outcomes affect everyone around you. No longer will you walk up to an NPC with an exclamation mark above his head telling you his grandma is under attack by trolls. Then you have to go kill the 10 trolls to save his grandma. But Granny isn't in any trouble in the first place. The trolls were just loitering around outside Grandma's house like gentle giants. Well, in Guild Wars 2, it doesn't happen like that. You will see the trolls attacking poor Grandma's house, and then you will have to go and save her. You don't have time to wait for a healer to join your party. You will have to go and kill those trolls. If you do kill the trolls, hooray, you saved Granny in the village that was under attack. You get your loot and everything's fine and dandy. The trolls are probably going to, and probably will, come back later with a better tactic. But what if you don't save Granny in the village? Then the trolls could take control of the village, and now there's a whole new dynamic event. Say, rescuing the merchant being held hostage in the village. Dynamic events sound great. A world of happening side quests, yes. But what about the main storyline? Every game has one. Mario saving Peach. Well, ArenaNet is trying to be unique again and make you feel special. Unlike completing the same main storyline like everybody else in the game world, you have what's called personal stories. This is laid out for you when you create your character based on which race you choose. You will have to answer a few questions about the character you're about to play, which lay out your own personal storyline. Another thing about Guild Wars 2 is that ArenaNet has an amazing art style. They have award-winning artists and great concept art, so they decided to make the game resemble their concept art in the in-game world. Another place they've introduced their art style is in some of the dialogue cinematics, as you can see. When I first saw this, I didn't know too much about it at first, but I think the backdrop can be much better than other kinds of cinematics. So as you can see, Guild Wars 2 has a lot to offer. I've only just briefly touched on a few aspects of the game. There's still things like PvP with the amazing unbalanced world versus world versus world, and how the entire underwater world is explorable with no breath meter. So, if you want to know more about Guild Wars 2, I will have tons of links in the description, articles, gameplays, and trailers. And if you want to play Guild Wars 2, you can pre-order or pre-purchase the game on April 10th, and you will get a code that grants you access to future beta events. More info is on guildwars2.com. I, of course, will be doing this, and you can look forward to those videos where I actually have gameplay of the game in beta, in what is scheduled to be late April. So hopefully you have learned something today about Guild Wars 2 you didn't know before. You can subscribe if you want to see those beta videos and our other videos, because this is a collaborative channel. Have a good day, and as always, stay frosty.